Yeah, I mean, obviously they've never been in that position, and then I know they were proud of what I'd achieved, and they understand, like, when I do have to do work, and even like Gary and the kids, like they understand it's when you've got your own company, you can't just switch off. Like even going on holiday last year, like laptop comes with me on holiday, and it is checking emails, it's doing bits and pieces when you're there, but they've grown up with that and they understand.
Lynne.
Kevin.
Welcome to the 29er show,
Thanks.
Unscripted. It's brilliant to have you on. I know how much you love this.
Yeah. It's you knowing everybody else knows I love being on camera.
Well, let's try and start with an easy question then, right? Because
What's my name?
I think, no, it's not that. I think it's important that as we've grown our business over the years and the customers we work with, that people get a sense of who we are and what was our childhood like, upbringing, what's made us who we are just now. And let's start with that, shall we? Yeah. Let's start with, what was your childhood like growing up?
I had a great childhood growing up. Very family orientated. My mum, dad and my sister. But we've obviously got a wider family, like with aunts and uncles, cousins, like we were all very close. So we've done loads of family things all the time, like holidays, parties. We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago with Kayla, daughter. And we were talking about how family parties used to all get together and all the adults would be in a room and everybody would have their own song and they would all sing along and you're just all literally sitting there, like never had any music on, but it was just, you just sat there, had a laugh, singing songs. And
that's so resembles my childhood as well.
An 80s, 90s
mum and dad used to go to like clubs and then come back to there. My mum and dad's house was always the party house. What was yours? Was yours the party house or was it somewhere?
It depended, because we had such a big family, like, it just depended whose turn it was, kind of thing. We all went to.
And who was because obviously I know a little bit about you, obviously. We've worked together a long time. Who was the kind of, who got up and sang? Your mum or dad or both?
Oh, all of them. Every adult at the party had a song. Yeah, you all had a song. And then as we were at all the parties, like we then knew all the songs. So it's like all the old songs come on and we know them word for word.
And what was it? Do you remember what your mum and dad's songs were?
My dad used to always sing Things. And Robbie Williams then sang it.
Oh, right, okay.
Was it the rap? Who was it he sang it with? No, he sang it.
Was that part of like the Rat Pack, like Dean Martin and all that? No?
I don't know. He sang it with. I don't know if it was Nicole Kidman or it was the Duet album that
Can you sing it now?
I could give it a go, but I'm not a very good singer, so it might turn people off. But
so that was your dad's song?
Yeah.
What about your mum?
I can't remember what my mum's song was. I can't remember. They'll probably moan at me.
So that was parties,
it was always
parties in your house, and you and your sister.
Yep.
Younger sister,
Susan. Yeah.
So you're allowed to stay up late and be part of those parties.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. No, that was just like every weekend was like that practically. Like.
And just for a sense of background, your mum and dad and what did they do for their living?
So my mum worked in retail to start with, and then she moved to work in a hospital. She was just like a very caring person. Just she loved doing things like that. My dad was an engineer. He worked for the Rolls-Royce all his life. It was an apprentice there right through to he retired. So I always remember they had like family days where you could go and visit and it was all like the factories and all these big machines and airplane engines. And I always remember going on holiday. It was like, is it a Rolls-Royce engine? If it's a Rolls-Royce engine, we're all right. We can fly kind of thing when you're sitting there. So yeah, they were very, very hard.
So your dad was more on the engineering side, how things work, how things are put together.
Very technical.
Your mum then was caring, looking after people, never complaining.
Never complained.
Does that all this sound familiar?
Never
Lynne?
Complained, yeah.
I always say that.
Take after two of them.
Never complain. You always like to know how things work. And I think that's a good sense of people listening, like even our customers. I think that's you. Like that's your DNA.
Yeah.
You're obviously wrapped between both of them. I didn't know too much about that, but I'm getting a real sense of just who you are and how you work and how hard you work. I think we both come from that background that our parents worked extremely hard and you kind of never gave up until the job was done.
No, I always remember my mum and dad working, like dad worked shifts, so he worked like a day shift, a back shift, a night shift. Mum was always working, but she was always then there for us when we finished school. Dinner was on the table, like just brilliant family life.
Yeah, just a really caring, loving family life. And then what about did you go holidays? What was anything memories like that?
We went on holidays, like just the four of us, or we went on holiday with like our friends. So like mum and dad's best friends, who their daughters were then like my best friend and Susan's best friend. So we went on holidays with them as well. Used to go usual kind of European Spain holidays, and then every September weekend we went down to Blackpool, spent the weekend down in Blackpool, like with the family friends. So no, it was really good.
Yeah,
really
enjoy
good.
that.
Loved it.
And what about now? What's your kind of favourite holidays now?
I think anywhere that I can get some family time.
Right.
Anyway, I don't mind if it's abroad. I love going abroad, but just even we've been a couple of staycations since we got the dog as well.
You're meaning Gary,
Lewis, and Kayla. Yes, Gary and the kids, and obviously we've got Bailey as well. So just staycation holidays have been great as well. Just
was
spending
Bailey a
time.
Pandemic dog?
She was a pandemic dog. Yes, we always says nope, never getting dogs. The kids always like, please, can we get a dog? Can we get a dog? And it's like, no, we're working. It's not fair on the dog. And then obviously pandemic hit. We're at home 24/7. Can we get a dog? Can we get a dog? And then we caved.
And who do you think you're more like, your mum or dad? I know the easy answer would be a bit of both, but like if you had to lean towards,
I would say it's a bit of both though. I don't think I could lean towards.
Do you think it's changed over the years? Because obviously you're 10 years younger than me, so I think we're kind of the same era-ish, that as you get older you start to try and look back and think what parents shaped you more. Maybe that changes over the years as well.
Yeah. I think it does, because like obviously with my dad's side in football, like we're always been a big football family, and I've obviously brought that into kind of our family, and obviously helping.
You're a coach now, aren't you?
Helping with, well, I wouldn't cast it as a coach, but helping with the football team. But then like with my mum's side as well, like from learning from her caring side and what she done all her life. Like I definitely see it's a bit of both. I wouldn't say I'm one or the other.
Right.
I think even growing up, like, you know, when people go, oh, you look so like your mum, oh, you look so like your dad, like people have always said I look like my dad, and then other people that know me go, oh, you're so like your mum.
Yeah. And did you go on with Susan?
We did. No, we never really, there's 4 years between us, but we'd never really had that kind of fighting sort of sister. Like, we shared a room for many years, and it was always like, we have the room. I was always tidy, Susan wasn't so tidy. But we're very different. Like, for being so close, we're very different. What you see is what you get with Susan sometimes.
Right. And who's that then? If she's was she more direct in conversation, would you say?
I don't know who she's like, because I don't remember mum or dad being like that at all. She's just totally different. But we get on really well.
Yeah. You're the bigger sister.
We're really close,
You're the bigger sister.
We're really close.
Okay.
Best friends.
And did you always know what you wanted to be? Like back in your childhood, as early as you can remember, what you want to be when you grew up at school and things like that?
It was always something to do with design. I loved drawing, making stuff, like being creative. That was just...
Were you good at drawing?
In my genes. I was good at drawing, not people. I know what you're referring to, but no, not people. I did love drawing when I was younger, and colouring in and stuff, but I always wanted to be in the fire brigade as well.
Right. Why is that?
I don't know, it was just something I always wanted to do. But I remember careers day in school, and I went over to the fire brigade, and they were standing, they were like, oh, can I help you? And I was like, yeah, I'm really interested in being in the fire brigade. And they were kind of looking down at me as if,
you're not tall.
Look at the height of you, look at the build of you. Yeah. So that kind of get shunned out of me.
So maybe like you're kind of a fire warden in the office, aren't you? So maybe
that's me getting fulfilling my dreams.
Have you got the outfit as well?
No.
Okay, so you on a graphic side of things, then you
always design or something creative that I wanted to do.
Yeah, and just as an interest, what's Susan?
She's a teacher. I think she always wanted to be a teacher. Although I do remember she always wanted to be called a beep beep girl. So she always wanted to work in the supermarket. Beep beep. That's what she always heard, a beep beep girl.
I'm sure she'll love you telling everyone
that. That was her first job. She worked in Safeway.
Right.
So she fulfilled that
part. Just more like,
and then she's went into doing teaching, so she's been teaching all her life.
Kind of like, although your mum's was in...
none of us followed
path of your mum and dad.
No.
Neither did that, to be honest.
No.
So graphic design was your kind of passion. And take me back to those early days of how you started to learn the craft of graphic design.
where I left school, I went to Cardonald College and done graphic design. So it was like a 4-year course. Loved what I was doing. It was very varied. So obviously across, it was back in the early days. It wasn't really Macs. So it wasn't computers.
What would this be?
The 96.
96.
I went to college.
So it was pre-computer.
Yeah, I think there was one class you had like a kind of computer class. So it was more like all hand-drawn graphic design and Leisure books for fonts. And I loved that course. Absolutely loved it. And then that's how obviously came to meet you guys. One of the guys that was on the course with me got a job. He left the year before and got a job with you and Gillian. And you were obviously then looking for more staff and said to David, is there anyone you could recommend? And he recommended me and you were stuck with me since.
Wait, so that was the year 2000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You came for an
April
interview
2000.
in Cumbernauld.
Yeah, it was.
What made you come all the way out to Cumbernauld?
And I
Because you
always
obviously don't live
remember-
local to Cumbernauld.
Yeah, I always remember he gave me one of the business cards and you had, because I think you just moved to there in Cumbernauld and it was, you had like the business address, but you had your home address
Right.
on the back. And I was like,
Okay.
oh no, where am I supposed to be going?
Who are these people?
Yeah, where'd I go? And I got on the bus to Cumbernauld.
'Cause you didn't drive
never
then.
been that far, no. I
You didn't drive then, yeah.
And I got on the bus and I said to the bus driver, I don't know where I'm going, but I think it's an industrial estate, so it's that one. So he told me where to go on and off the bus kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I came through and it was a wee sort of porta cabin, not a porta cabin, it was like
It's like
the
a
industrial
garage
estate,
front door, like just a typical
and I
industrial
couldn't
estate.
get in the door and I was like kind of pushing it and then I pushed it open expecting it to be like a wee reception area and obviously it was just like 4 people sitting in and that's when I came from interview and you were off, you were unwell that day.
Yeah.
Gillian was there and it was Richard and David
Right.
that was
Okay.
there.
And what did they make you do? Do you remember
I had
yours?
to do
Do you remember?
I had to do a dynamic media presentation
Right.
and Macromedia director.
Right.
So it was like, I think it was like 2 hours
And
or
that
something
was
I
that
spent.
software you started learning at college?
We just started doing director in the last,
But if you
the
think
last
about-
year. So
If for anyone that does remember, Macromedia Director was that kind of presentation tool.
yeah, it was like an interactive sort of animated,
web was-
early animation,
But if you think about that, required a little bit of engineering almost.
engineering, coding.
Go back to your dad and that kind of
Yep.
breaking things apart, understanding how things work. And it was quite complex. I mean, I would consider it a lot more complex to have learned back then than software is now. So I always think that's one of your skills, is you, as Gillian always says as well about the business, is a complex to simple. You do that from a software point of view. I think you
I
always
love
look
learning
at
new stuff, like just like that. Like obviously, I mean, we'll probably talk about it with AI and things. It's like when something new comes out and you want to know how it works. And
But that
engineering
like
background.
Macromedia Director was, dynamic media as we called it, and it helped us really win new clients back then. And as you
it was
said,
a new thing. Nobody else was doing it.
and we were based in Cumbernauld, and it was our kind of first real office.
Yeah.
And as you say, it was just a little kind of, I don't know how you describe it, just a garage door you walked into,
And then we moved
and then we
across
moved.
to the bigger one.
Yeah, and you came with us. So that was the year 2000.
Yeah.
And you brought then a new skill. You brought a new skill to the business, and we grew the business from that in 2000.
Yep.
And we continued in Cumbernauld for a good few years.
I think from then it was just learning. Like every kind of new mode that we came out with, it was you had to learn. It was all self-taught.
Yeah, but I think that you talked about graphic design, and we've talked about this quite a few times. The skill set that you had to learn back then without computers, so it was that handmade feeling of graphic design. So you understood the dynamics of graphic design, and then, as you say, like software started coming out, so it was always a bit more easier to understand what you need and what you want from a graphic design point of view, because I remember when computers then just started to emerge, everyone then thought they were graphic designer, and us being like the professional in it kind of got a bit frustrated because people thought they could just pick up a computer or Photoshop or Illustrator and think, I'm now a graphic designer.
I think, as we've said, for every role, like in our business from a creative point of view, if you've got graphic design as that base, you can learn anything. Like the world's your oysters.
But you need to know,
that's your,
I think it's having
your
that
core skill.
the eye of what you like
Layout.
Yeah. And I think over the years, so it's like obviously 25 years we worked together, we have that kind of design knowledge between us, like unsaid, that we know what works and doesn't work, and that's really helped us in business. But if you look back, now we'll probably go back onto the subject about design, but if you look back, what's one piece of advice that you wish you'd received? Like, if you look, And before you answer that, I'll give you time to think about it. When you talked about when you first came in my business card, do you remember the first business card that you got?
The photographs.
Yeah, it was all.
I had my short hair.
Your short, spiky hair. You were 21.
Yeah.
And
Victoria Beckham.
You got your own personalised business card. That was the big thing back then. You got a business card. I always remember because, like you, my mum and dad weren't entrepreneurial. So I've talked about it before. It was Gillian's family that were the entrepreneurs and it kind of filtered through. But to have an actual business card and then to have your photo on it, like you've made it.
I think we were standing like that. It was like kind of
it was
the pose.
It was up there, wasn't
on the
it?
mezzanine,
you were looking down, and that was, and it's a question we ask a lot as you continue in the entrepreneurial journey now. Is like, when do you think we're going to think we've made it? But now I've just remembered that I thought I'd made it. I had a business
when you had a business card,
and you must have not been that long in the business when you got your first business card. Gave it out to all your family.
Yeah,
sharing your business
should
card.
have kept all of them, shouldn't we?
We should have kept them,
Just kept one for each of the
and
different
then
ones we had.
The office we did have in Cumbernauld, the bigger one, we moved into, took over Optical Express's office at that time. And that's when Caitlin came in for a little bit of a trial with the big Nutella jar that she talked about. So you've been around for a long time.
I remember picking Caitlin up from school. She was only 7, I think, when I started.
I remember, do you remember where I used to pick you up from?
Yeah, because I didn't drive.
You didn't
pick
drive,
me up at the train station.
Pick you up at the train station every morning. So if there's any advice you could look back, what's the one piece of advice you wish you'd received earlier? And more probably in a business sense, whatever.
More like be more confident in yourself. Like I probably lack a lot of self-confidence, like whether it comes across or not. Like it's just believe in yourself more and in what you do. And I think as a business owner, you don't always believe in what you're doing. You don't take that time to appreciate what you've done. It's just like you move on to the next thing, you move on to the next thing. It's like you don't stop and take account of like, I've actually achieved all this. I've done really well. But
well, it's 25 years, Lynne. You've helped live your life all by yourself and create what you've got in your life all by yourself. And I think that's probably just a dynamic of being in your own business. You always just keep moving forward. And as we joked here about the business cards, you never kind of really stop and go, we've made it or take stock. But because you're always looking for the next opportunity, I suppose. But so 25 years we've been doing this. Yeah. So is that the kind of advice you would give yourself? Be more confident.
Be more confident. Just believe in yourself more. I think.
As a kid, were you the kind of front and centre, or were you the back of the group, or what was?
I was like in school. I was always the one that just get your head down and just get things done. Like I wasn't a confident person. I was never like.
You weren't the first to put your hand up and stand up and speak and all that. No.
Hated like solo talks in school. See like this.
Right. Thanks.
Anxiety, fear. I don't get anxiety, but see, putting a camera on me.
Yeah. Well, there's no cameras on, is there?
I know.
But that's what we do.
We were filming yesterday and a couple of girls were a bit nervous. I'm like, pretend the cameras aren't there. Like, you're absolutely fine, absolutely great.
Yeah. No, I get it. And we're kind of both kind of new to being in front of camera, but we need to believe in yourself more, because look what you have achieved. Definitely. You know, and I think that's 25 years we've done this business through all the challenges of just being in business.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster.
And the constant change of the creative industries is phenomenal. And
it's exciting.
It's exciting. I think that's the most important one.
Yeah.
Talk about creativity now.
Yeah.
What's your creative process like? Is it structured or spontaneous? What would you say?
It's probably a bit of both. You need to be structured. You need to have that structured framework to work within. But because every job and every project we work on, even if it's for the same client, every project's different. Mm-hmm. So you have to have that spontaneism as well, like, because you need to be able to jump in and out of different things. But so you need to be structured to a degree to have like your filing system, the way you work, the way you communicate with clients. That all has to be structured. But
and I think we obviously talk about, and we've got the same kind of style because we've worked together so long, as I like to use the tools I've got to help me come up with ideas. And before we talk about AI and everything else, we've always thought, go into the computer, get your tools in play and start to play with those tools to see what develops. Almost like we're not the type that will sit and scribble and draw. I know we talked about we like sketching and drawing, but
it's like it's straight in there.
We like to use the tools, and I think that's been a huge advantage for both of us in the creative industries, that for the 25 years we've constantly used tools to develop ideas. And as we'll talk about later about AI, how that's now a big advantage for us now. But so that style, I think, is that more structured. I would agree with you. It's a structured style that
Yeah.
we look at, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And so what kind of software like did you enjoy using more over the years? Obviously, we talked about Macromedia Director.
And I think just watching the way the Adobe suite as well. I mean, that's our core tools. So watching the way the Adobe suite has progressed, like obviously we're going to talk about AI, but with AI enhancements, when you were going back to like in Photoshop when we first started, it was like one layer you worked in. It wasn't, you didn't have the multiple layers and folders and everything that it does now. It was like,
do you remember your first kind of, maybe not first, but what's the first project that comes to mind when you started working with us? Like, I know it was through different businesses. We've obviously adapted business over the years, but
I think one of the first ones, which we'll probably laugh about, was the first website that we done, and the buttons were like...
we thought we were geniuses, didn't we? We created a website.
And that was the time we had one computer in the back room to check your emails, like to go on the internet. You never all had...
If you can remember, tell the story of how we'd done that website and how we discovered what we'd done wrong. You remember?
What with
the website with the big buttons?
It was created in Dreamweaver.
Yeah,
with the small screen.
Yeah. So we had like a screen, but we never realised that the different sizes of screens. So we presented a customer with a website on a screen that we had, but when he put it on his screen,
it was massive.
The buttons were huge, weren't they? And
no, it was funny.
And just like the business cards, we thought we've created a website. Yeah. Like it was like, wow, like what we've achieved. So, but it's part of design, isn't it? It's learning. Yeah. And I think it's just that constant, like you said, it's like constantly learning, constantly developing.
The websites weren't a big thing then either.
No.
So
no.
You did an individual, unique website.
Yeah. So is that your kind of like something you remember, like project wise? That was a fun one. That didn't go quite according to plan. There must be one that kind of.
What from back?
That sticks in your mind, going, you were proud of that one.
I think there's like a lot of the not recent ones, but I think just working across, like when you think of the different kind of industries we've worked in, like a lot of the charity ones, I liked working on a lot of the charity projects, just hearing the stories, even customer stories, like is finding out more about them. That's what I love about our customers. Like you're diving into their industry, you're learning from them. Like I've never known so much about electronics and labels and embellishments. So it's learning about all. And
you're helping them tell their story then, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I've asked this question a few times, but I think it's always relevant. Like, tell everyone what is your kind of day. Probably, as I've said before, like your family and your friends. What is your kind of typical day, typical week? What is it you kind of do every day?
Well, obviously working closely as creative director, working closely with the creative team, like making sure that we're covering all our clients' needs from a project point of view, that is hitting all their brand and marketing criterias. Working closely with Stacey on the project management side, where we're making sure that what the clients ask for is what they're getting it on time. So it's just working closely with the clients and the team, the biggest thing.
Yeah. And do you believe creativity is a skill, or can it be taught? And make that more a now thing, obviously with technology. That'll be their next question.
I think it's something that you've got in you as well, creativity. I don't think anyone can just go straight on a computer and have that creative flair. Obviously everybody's got a bit of creativity in them. But I think if you've got the base, as we say, of the graphic design, then you can learn any creative industry skill.
Because I think that's been what we've talked about, is like trying to hire new people. Specifically in our kind of side of the business, is they might list all the software they've known, that they've learned, but they still don't quite have that eye for what, like me and you look at something and we more or less see the same thing, what's good, what's bad, whether that's just through years of working together. But I still feel that's what I do think. It's kind of, you grow up with that. I think you just use technology to make it better or faster to develop.
You can learn obviously new skills and enhance on that, but having that base there, I think you need that creative base.
And obviously the big question then is, how do you think AI is shaping like your job now? Like what's your kind of...
I love AI.
You love AI?
I love AI. I think just it's, as we talk about the trifecta effect of the quality, speed, price, like with AI you can achieve all three of them. And people say like, oh, AI is going to take my job. It's not going to take your job. If you can learn AI and understand AI and know how it can integrate into your workflow, it's only there to help you. Like we've learned so much. We've been able to do things so fast.
Yeah.
Like obviously the big one that I love is the voiceover one, and it is a shame obviously for all those voiceover actors out there, but like we can now get an hour script. We've been working on a project that's almost an hour long. We can get an hour script within 5 minutes. Yeah. Any accent, any language, and we can make changes really quickly and really easily. Whereas when you think back before, the amount of money that we would pay to get an hour script done, and then the client looks and goes, "Oh, I need that bit changed," and then you'd have to go back to the voiceover actor. It's just.
But I suppose also if you think about it, things do just change. Like we've been around long enough that we've seen a lot of change from dynamic media, how that became, and then websites and things like that. And what we've always done is just lean into that and try and learn it. So though you can do like voiceovers, you say so quickly, it's because you've spent the time and the hours. You know, it's like any trade or any profession. They know how to do things better and faster because they've took the hours. So when I talk about you have to lean into these technologies, and I think that's the kind of shift that we're both seeing as people who do lean in, who take it seriously, who see it as exciting, will win. And the people who just complain about it, that's the people that lose their jobs.
I mean, as soon as I see a new tool that's coming out, if I'm scrolling on LinkedIn or whatever and see one, it's like, I want to try it. Like, I need to jump in and see how we can use it. How will it work for our workflow? How can it work for our clients? And say there's so many new ones, and even the ones that are coming out and are out, they're continually enhancing. So it's like, it's a win-win for.
Yeah, we recently done a presentation in Europe, and it was all about talking about AI. And it is just this, it's quite sensitive just now, I think, the conversation for industries, because like everything, there is an element of fear, like what's going to happen. But as you say, I think if we look at it exciting from our industry, and we've been around long enough to think we need to learn it. But I think it's putting in the time, like anything that you've learned over the years. You didn't just come out of college and know how to use Macromedia Director.
All self-taught.
You spent hours self-taught.
You need to spend that time. You need to dedicate time to yourself to learn. Even for anybody working in any job, you're not going to learn on the job. You need to work at it in your own time.
That's a really good point, because when do you switch off? Because like you can't really get your laptop off your hand. You're
that's my third child.
You're attached to your laptop. But that shows we've talked a lot over the episodes about passion that we have as a business, but your passion is learning all the time, and never giving up till you've figured something out. So I think we don't underestimate the power of what you do as far as the constant learning to develop your skill. And you've done that through all the different technologies. So like, when do you switch off? Like, I mean,
I don't. And that's, I mean, that's a big thing I'd said the start of this year. I wanted to spend more time myself and try and switch off and take that bit of time. But it's so hard. Like, I don't sit still for 10 minutes. Like, I can't, even in the house, like the weekends, like I can't sit down and just relax. I'm always doing something, always on the go. And like as Caitlin mentioned her interview, like no matter what you're doing, you're constantly just checking your phone for emails, or as Caitlin said, like we work with clients across like America, all time zones. So it's, you don't switch off at 5 o'clock and put your phone down. You're on to go to sleep.
We've talked in other episodes with Caitlin, and obviously from a family point of view. And I've said this openly. I've said to you directly, you're all your family to me, because of how long we've worked together and how much we love and care for each other, in personal and business. And we've came on a similar journey in our lives as well. How, like, obviously our families weren't entrepreneurs. How do you think it's affect either your current family or your mum? Like, you've now in an entrepreneurial business. You started with us, as we said, in 2000 as coming for a job, and then we started 29 Studios. How did that feel in 2009 when you were like, I'm now going to be a founder of a company and an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've never been in that position, and I know they were proud of what I'd achieved, and they understand, like when I do have to do work, and even like Gary and the kids, like they understand is when you've got your own company, you can't just switch off. Like even going on holiday last year, like laptop comes with me on holiday, and it is checking emails, it's doing bits and pieces when you're there, but they've grown up with that and they understand.
Do you think you've influenced them in some way?
Probably not.
No. I mean, it's like to like, from, I know Lewis is young and loves football and everything. I know Kayla's obviously doing teaching as well, taking after her aunt. But I'm just more trying to kind of dig into like how's your family life? Because we have to force you to take holidays. You'll still put on a little group. Is it okay if I take a day off? You own the business.
I know.
But it shows
but again, that's a respect thing, like just for everybody. Like as you say, like growing up, that's just the way you were brought up, and you were told just respect everyone and everyone's time.
Yeah, and you believe your mum and dad proud of you for doing that in 2009. Did you think twice about, like, because obviously we were transitioning out of one business, and we got together with me, you and Jelly, and went, let's do this. And did you ever have second thoughts? You can say it now. You can be honest now.
No, never had any doubts. Like, I've always loved my job, and then obviously them being part. Like, I was proud to be an owner of 29 Studios.
Because it was 9 years. I mean, obviously, easy math. Started in 2000 and 2009. Then the three of us became equal owners of 29 Studios, and that was our trust both ways. Like, obviously, Jill and I, husband and wife, and wanting you to be part of that, and it's the best decision we've ever made. Like, as I said, you're like family to us now as well, and look what we've achieved in those years. But
exactly.
But I just didn't know if, like, Lewis, Kayla, Gary, your mum and dad and things like that, or your sister, like, did they ever think, what are you doing? Like,
no, it was never questioned. And I think just like progressing on from like working with you guys to then starting the business with it was just one of the, it was like a natural flow. But I don't think they've ever really thought of it of being my own business kind of thing as well. Like, it's.
So you're probably like your type. You probably never shout about that.
No. I'm not the type of person to. Like, I'm keep myself to myself. Kinda,
and what about friends? Do they know it's your business?
Yeah, they know. And I think they're proud of me too.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah,
because that's.
But you don't take. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't take time to think about what you've done, and because you are constantly on the go and you're moving on to the next thing.
As you get older, you do. I think you do want to reflect. You reflect back a lot more as you get older, and think you just have to sometimes slow down a little bit and go. And I think that's my advice to you. My advice to you, Lynne, is
slow down.
Start to slow down. No, I think, like, genuinely, I think like, we're both creative, but with new technology coming out, you need to take time to now understand what's happening. You're very much still on the tools, let's say, and we've talked about that. Like, we need to try and get you more in the thinking side of the business and learning the new tools more and more, because it's such a dynamic industry. So, and you say you try and do that in your whatever spare time you've got. Talking about spare time, what is it you do at the weekends? What's your hobbies, interests and things? Go.
So most of the Saturdays is taken up with, I'm saying most Saturdays, a lot of time during the week as well at night, is helping with Lewis's football team. So he has been playing football for a few years now. Gary obviously helps coach, and the main coach of the team had said, like, he was leaving because his son was leaving, and all the other coaches had then said, well, there's no coach, so the team will need to just be disbanded. And we're like, not a chance. Like, there's 18 boys here, a lot of them been there since they were 5, 6-year-old, and I was like, that's not fair. There's no chance we're letting them down. So Gary was coaching, and he got a few of the dads to help. And then I was like, I'll help from an admin side of it. But then from just helping with an admin side was basically running the whole team. So it's organising. But then
you've told me before your dad was...
Yeah, he was, I grew up, obviously, my dad was a football coach for a Saturday kind of team. And I remember going when I was younger with him to all the games on a Saturday morning to local pitches, and
standing at the side of the pitch,
the bucket and the magic sponge at that time. So we were like really involved with football, and we've grown up, as I say, as a football family. Like, we all.
But do you not think
love football?
I'm fascinated by it now. Like, looking back, and you see those little things that are just coming through in your life now. Like,
they don't realise,
and it'll carry on. That little thread will carry on to Lewis and Kayla, obviously. But so your dad was at the side of the pitch.
Cheering them on.
And is that where a wee bit more of the fiery Lynne comes out?
Yeah, probably.
Right.
It's quite hard to kind of hold your tongue and bite your tongue. And
Are you one of those parents at the side?
I try not to be, but you can't help it. That's where the passion comes out, I think, as well. Like with the kids, like when you see them winning and achieving, like the kind of joy on their faces, it brings out in you as well. But
how good is Lewis then in a 1 to 10?
He could improve. he could improve, but he's
So
a good player.
Does Lewis want to be professional football?
I don't think he does. I think he
so
just loves football, and loves being part of it. And I think they've got such a good wee team that, like, last year we obviously won the cup and the final, and we weren't expecting that, and it was totally out of the blue. And I think everybody was a bit surprised that actually cried that day, like when they scored, it went down to penalties, and we won on penalties. So we were really proud of them that day. But I don't think it's not a career he wants to do. It's more just
as he indicated. I'm just trying to get that connection. He's not quite got to that point yet.
It's like what do you want to do? Like, he's picked his subjects this year for school, and it was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And don't know. Kind of 13-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Don't know.
And do you remember you being 13? Were you quite? Was it still
I
graphics
knew,
at that point?
I knew it was like design, something creative. Like, I loved art in school, so it was art was definitely going to be the top subject. Art and maths. That was
that's your weekend role then.
Yes.
The soccer mom. Yeah. Going to go into coaching?
No.
And
I think that's probably one step too far.
Right. Okay. And what else? Do you do anything else?
It's just a lot of family time. Like, that's when I get to see, like, my dad and my sister. We spend kind of Saturdays together, and then Sunday is like we go over and see Gary's family, spend time with them as well. So it's just a lot of family time.
And we've talked in other episodes about the only time out we get is Christmas, but it is, isn't it?
It is. Not this year. We had a big project this year over Christmas. So this year it was Christmas Day and Kayla's 18th we got off.
What more do you want?
I know.
Christmas Day.
2 days. No, but generally, Christmas is the time for us to switch off and have that family time, as hard as it is to switch off. But.
Switching back then to AI, obviously we have touched on it, we've diverted slightly. How do you see it going? Like, obviously, when we first started business, you could maybe look at your plan and think 3-5 years time, and it was gradual, and you could plan a little bit more of the kind of scope of business, but especially in the creative industries, and how, like, not that far ahead, I'm just talking like within the next 12 months. Like,
it's changing every day. It's scary how fast it's changing, and like every day you're seeing a new tool coming out or an advancement on a tool, and being able to use them and utilise them in projects. Like, we've created a project recently that was all AI, from voiceover to all the clips that were in it to the music. Everything was generated through AI, and what would have probably taken us, if that was being filmed, you're probably talking a couple of weeks, couple of months to do that project. It was done in 3
and
days.
I think to give you credit, I think it's also really important to point out that AI is not, it's not that it's easy to use. It's just it's a different level of understanding you need.
And it's improving your workflow and enhancing your workflow. It's not going to take over what you're doing. You need to understand how to use it and how to utilise it.
Because you talked about when you first started with us, and we got to know each other, and there was that one computer in the back of the room that every now and again made a noise, and that was an email. So if you think of that technology, and you were sitting there just creating handmade artwork, so you need to be that type of person that constantly wants to learn
and adapt as well. As you need to adapt to what's coming out and what's out there, and what the client's needs are. Is if a client's wanting something in particular, if you're not unsure of how to do that, it's like you need to go and learn it and understand.
Yeah, and I think that takes time. Everyone does talk about the speed that AI can make things happen.
Yep.
But there's still a big learning curve. And I think whether it's just an individual tool, but you also now need to learn, I think, more tools. Like, as we were growing up, it was like Macromedia.
Yeah, there was like three or four
things.
Used.
If you knew them, that was you. That was your toolkit, like, almost.
Yeah.
But now it's like there's hundreds.
Even think of editing. You've got like DaVinci, you've got Premiere, you've got, what else have we got?
Although just every tool can
like
do something. You can do it on your phone now. You can edit on your phone.
Yeah.
About then technology, we've talked a lot about in the office about the new kind of technology of headsets, wearables, AR, VR. What's your take on all of that? How's that?
I think it's so exciting, and it's just, I think people aren't quite there yet. I think over the next 12, 18 months, it's going to be a huge thing. You can see people starting to dabble in it, and a lot of our clients are like starting to use it, but it's just getting them over that line. Once they then see, we want them to be first to be using this.
And we're constantly doing demos, aren't we? Like,
and it's not like, don't wait for your competitors to go out and do it. It's like, you do it first.
Yeah.
And
But if you think back to your Macromedia director, your first website, to doing demos on Apple Vision Pro and Oculus and putting people inside a car
yeah,
and touching all the instruments virtually, you
breaking
think of
everything
that
down.
progress, and we might say that's a 25-year journey. It's not really. It's been the last 5 years we've actually progressed that. We've probably had 15 years of steady progress. I mean, from a technology
Yeah.
point of view, but for you to keep relevant, for me to keep relevant, there's a constant change now, isn't there, with AI? And I think that's what I don't want anyone to underestimate, is what we need to learn to be able to make it easier for our customers, isn't it?
Yep.
It's all those tools.
It's exciting to see where it's going to go.
Yeah, and it's that constant innovation.
Yep.
Constant innovation.
Yep. Every day.
Yeah. What's your favorite tool right now that you use?
I think probably Runway.
Yeah.
Midjourney and Runway.
Yeah.
Creating those images in Midjourney.
It blows our mind, doesn't it?
They're so realistic, and then bring them to life in Runway.
Yeah. Because we do a lot of work in 3D,
Yeah.
and it just gives you that mood board, that concept, doesn't it? Faster, but then you still need to technically break it down.
Can be applied to so many areas in the business,
Yeah.
like from just graphics to obviously video, and then as you say the mood board, it's helping us create that storyboard and idea for the concept of a project.
Slightly different question. I ask it quite a few times, but I'm hoping you don't say the person I think you're going to say. If you could collaborate with anyone, dead or alive, who
do you think
would
I'm
it
going
be?
to say?
David Beckham.
I'd collaborate with him anytime.
Right.
But no, it would be probably Stephen Bartlett.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Love his podcast.
Yeah.
I think just as a person, like, he's creative, he's analytical, he's very technical. I think when you think of the things that he does, I can relate to him.
Yeah.
And I think just like the way he comes across in his podcasts and with the people he's interviewing.
It was funny. I was
think
with a customer the other day, Peter, and he was at one of the conferences, and the guest speaker was Stephen Bartlett.
Oh, really?
He was telling me, he's like, he's a really, and I was like, yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah.
I remember following him from, it was Social Chain he had, wasn't it? And I think it is that you're always looking to see what people in our space are doing in that journey, and his journey obviously has been.
And he's similar to us in a way, like obviously the people he's interviewing are from different backgrounds, different industries, and it's adapting to their industry and the style of questions that he's going to ask them, and that's what we need to do. We need to adapt to our customers.
Yeah.
And
well, there was a thing he put out just a few days ago, given Stephen Bartlett. Hope he likes this. As he talked about when he had Social Chain and you have a design company, he talked about it as like a moat.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
I sent it to you. And it's like, it was always difficult to break down that type of business or copy the business that we might have had 10 years ago, because it required a lot of technology, a lot of expense, a lot of people. But nowadays, that's been broken down.
Yeah.
But what he said was quite interesting. Like, the businesses moving forward obviously have to use AI and embrace AI that we've talked about. But the way you're going to be successful is if you're customer centric.
Yeah.
And he
and
said
that's
you need
customers
to,
at the heart of everything.
and build relationships with customers. And it's funny because I was waiting on the punchline thinking, and he said all the things that we've been doing before AI. And I think that's where, like, that whole family business we've talked about, like really, really wrapping our arms around our clients, and we learned that a lot from Vernon.
And they come first for to say they're at the heart of everything, like from what we do and what we're learning about them.
Yeah.
We're part of their team.
And I think we learned a lot. We've talked a few times over the recent episodes as well about our trips and our going away. And any favourite ones that stand out for you?
We've obviously done quite a few over the years. Like we were talking a couple of days ago about the one we done in Paris, where we went to the Adobe conference and everything was in French, so we left. And
there was a surprise, wasn't it?
I think they've all got different memories.
We took your whole family one day.
We did.
One time.
We went for the Variant conference, and that was when we done Vegas, LA, and San Francisco. And luckily, Gary and the kids came with us, and they loved it. They had an absolute ball.
And I think I talked to Caitlin obviously in another episode about just having those moments and sharing them. And I remember that one we hired a big house, and it was a good experience. We drove from San Francisco to Vegas, or Vegas to San Francisco, didn't we?
Yeah, and I had to drive part of it, but I would only drive straight on a straight road. There was no way I was driving in the opposite.
So I think it's probably just like, it's more than business.
Yeah.
Like, our relationship now.
And that's the good thing, is being able to involve the family and making them be part of it.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're trying to encourage. Like, you're looking for new people to join the team. Describe your ideal person that would come and join your team.
I want somebody who is dedicated, somebody who's creative, somebody who's willing to learn, and just somebody that loves their job and loves being creative. That's like, you can teach. What's it you say? You can teach skill. What's that saying?
I don't know. You're the one telling it. Say it out loud.
There you go.
Hire for personality, teach skill.
Yeah.
From the audience.
Yeah. So that's what we want. We want someone who's willing to learn and someone that's excited about AI and creativity. Yeah.
So we're looking to, this is a recruitment shout out, isn't it?
Come and join us.
Come and join us with us. What's been your challenge then? Obviously, we have had great people and we've got great people in the team, but obviously I think there's a different mindset now, maybe. Do you think pandemic changed a kind of culture of where you work, how you work?
Yeah. I think for our industry, you really need to be together. It's hard to work from home every day. There might be the odd day you can work from home if you're working on certain projects, but you need to be collaborative. We need to be around each other for ideas and just the general chat that we're having. You don't realise like what's coming from that.
Yeah. And I think you would think it's strange because the work we do, technically you could do remote.
Yeah.
But as you said, there's I think pandemic, well, let me go back. I think before pandemic, we had the flexibility in our business. We've always had that, like if there was people they needed to work from home or things like that.
Yeah, you're able to.
But nothing beats being face to face with people. Together. You maybe get slightly less done, but the quality of what you do together is much better, I think.
Yeah,
so.
And sales, especially at the start of a project, like nothing beats like just we go into the pirate bar, we'll have a brainstorm, and then even getting clients involved in that as well. I think that changed the whole thing. It was so hard, like during pandemic with clients for like Zoom calls, and it's not the same.
No, it's definitely not the same. We've talked about one of the questions, but we've kind of covered it, breaking into the industry. I think you've kind of covered most of that about your early career and your path and everything else. Do you remember we changed offices once?
Yes.
I forgot to tell you.
Yes. I was on holiday and I'd been trying to phone and there was nobody answering the phone, the office phone, and like that. Even at that point, I don't think that wasn't anything to do with 20 Studios. So I wasn't even like the owner of the company, but you still felt as though you had to be part of it and be in touch. And then you had messaged and said like, can we meet? We need to talk. God, no, what's happened? And I'm like, has there been a fire or something happened to the office?
No, we just had a chance to move office and you weren't around and we ended up going for fish and chips.
We went to Harry Ramsden's and we had a chat over fish and chips and then we'd moved.
What's the hardest lesson you've learned in business?
I think it's just for like having your own business is a roller coaster, and you have those highs and lows, and it's when you have those lows, like lean on each other and learn from the mistakes that you make or the failures that you have, and just keep going. Like don't give up.
Yeah, because that's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like running a business is super difficult.
There's days where you could go, oh, do you know what? Had enough.
Yeah, and I think like individually, as each business you do, like have those, as you say, roller coasters. But the biggest shift at the most recent one was pandemic, when no one knew what was going to happen, and for us to manage through all of that and come out stronger, I think was a testament to the team.
I remember like it happening, and it was like, right, we need to pack up all our kit, take it home, and done all that, and then it was the schools are going to be off till maybe the summer, and it's like, no way they're going to be off to the summer, and then it's like a year later they're still working from home and schooling from home.
Yeah,
that was a tough time.
It was a tough time.
Homeschooling and working.
Turn the paper here. Have you ever felt burnt out?
Yeah.
And how did you recover? And like, was that from work? I would suggest it's from work because you just never stop.
Probably a combination of work and life at points. Like you just feel like you're done. You can't do anything else. You can't go. Yeah. But then you need to just keep going.
Yeah.
That's how I recover. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Yeah. I've said this to you a million times. I think you're one of the strongest people I've known because you just constantly work.
Yeah.
And obviously, I try and tell you to stop, but
I know.
but you
Everybody
don't.
does.
Yeah.
Everybody tells me you need to stop, but
Yeah.
I think if I do stop, I'll not start.
Well, I
again.
think that's why you need to get like some more people helping you and
Yes.
supporting you, because I think you've got a lot more, obviously, from the AI side of things, like will help the business like more. But I suppose we all get burnt out at certain points. But so how do you recover from that? Do you, like,
I want us to say you just keep
you
going.
just keep going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not the type of person to like go, all right, we'll go for a wee massage, and that stresses me out even more. Going for a massage. If I go for a massage, they go, oh, you feel quite tense. I'm, oh no, how do I relax? Like lying in the bed, like going, oh no, I'm tense. Do I feel like, do I look as though I'm like not relaxed? Do I feel?
Are you a worrier?
Yes.
Yeah.
Big worrier. I worry about everything.
Even if it's not happened?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I think that's just
think-
my mindset.
And who did you take after?
Probably my mum on that one.
Yeah. Worries about everything.
Yeah. I think she's probably more of a worrier than my dad.
Right. Okay. So we're nearly there.
Yeah.
If you could master one new skill overnight, what would it be?
I think as we started this, I'd love to be able to sing.
Right.
Sing and play the piano.
Well, you did accompany a 29er.
No, but I didn't sing. I mimed.
Yeah. What was that?
Stacey was the singer.
Mm-hmm.
Stacey sang Proud Mary and I just mimed and danced. I was
On
her background.
stage.
Yeah.
So you still get that. There's a degree of confidence in there.
Yeah, because like nobody knew me there. I was over in America and however many people was in front of us, but I didn't sing.
Right. So you'd like to sing?
Yeah, I'd love to be able to
I
sing.
think that goes back to your parents having
Probably
party
does,
nights
yeah.
and everyone singing.
I mean,
were you not the
whether-
child? Did they not like stand up, Lynne, and sing to the
No.
group? No.
we did sing, but I think as a child you didn't really care.
Care. Right.
But you don't even remember like with those parties like really good singers.
Right. So what's your song if you had to sing?
I really like Lady Gaga's like Shallow.
All right.
I'd love to be able to sing and play the piano.
That's a wee happy song.
I know. No, but I like her songs and I love that film.
I'm going to say Lionel Richie. You're a Lionel Richie fan.
Okay, yeah.
So you'd like to sing Lady Gaga
And play
on
the piano at the
stage
same time.
in Orlando this year.
No, but I need to play the piano.
Right. Okay. So that's,
So that's
the
going to
skill.
take me longer.
Okay. Okay. What is something you still want to achieve apart from sing Lady Gaga songs? Business wise, what would you think? I still want to achieve that.
There's obviously certain milestones in business that you set goals to achieve, and we've obviously set quite a few, and we're almost hitting that target that we've had for a few years, which is exciting, and
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to like hitting that and then exceeding it.
Financial goals.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And professional goals from just always constantly learning. You still, like I've said to you, you're still on the tools.
Yes.
You still do all the
Yeah.
editing.
One day I'll be able to put that laptop aside
Right.
and
Right.
not be on the tools, but just learn and be able to like then move that into the team and teach them more and
See, that's the teacher coming out on you.
yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah.
And then be that creative director that I
Yeah.
can not be on the tools to
I think you're a
direct.
first class creative director, but I think you would be an amazing teacher and teaching people how to learn.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what I said. Like you're the fastest learner
Yeah.
like, I've worked with. Like something comes out and you want to learn it. So maybe that's
Share
your
those
dad and your
skills.
mum, that combined
Yeah.
knowledge and
Yeah.
passion. So I think that's like still a goal to achieve. Maybe the biggest misconception people have about you.
Probably the confidence thing. I think people think that I'm a confident person,
Uh-huh.
but deep down
Is that a Scottish thing?
could be just that mentality of but I'm not the type of person that would stand up and talk in a room. Like I'm the person that sits behind and
Mm-hmm.
kind of, you need something done, I'll do it.
Right. Okay.
But I'm not the person to stand up and shout about it.
And what about you've said you've got a big family? How do they?
Yeah.
Think, what do they think of you?
I-
Are you the
They probably
quiet one in
think
the
I'm
family
more
as well?
confident
Yeah.
than what I probably am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I probably have that perception of like, look at her, she can go and she can go and do that. But deep down, I'm like, can't.
Well, you should be really proud of yourself. And what's your biggest hope for the future? Personally, professionally, whatever. What's your kind of biggest hope?
Just to be able to spend lots of time with the family, and life's too short. Just enjoy life. And
They still want to come on holiday with you, Kayla?
Oh yeah.
She still wants to come home.
If I'm paying for it, she'll be there. Yeah, just over the years we've learned that life can be too short, and you need to just grab everything you can with two hands and go for it.
You're doing that.
I am.
You are doing it.
Every step of the way.
Well, I know this is outside your comfort zone,
Yes,
so hopefully it's not been as bad as you thought it was
not.
going to be. And thank you for joining your show.
Thank
the
you.
29ers show,
I'll try and be
Unscripted.
better next time.
That was good. Thank you.